Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis Cohen. Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. Today we're diving straight into a topic that's going to challenge some of you to your core. And if you've listened to me long enough, you know that I don't pull any punches and I tell it like it is. And I do that because I want to shortcut the road to your emotional and psychological recovery, like I wish someone had done for me. None of this is fluff, and anybody who is listening right now, regardless of your gender, it's likely that you'll find at least one golden nugget in here for you today. When we talk about owning our story, you have to understand that each of us has these stories, right? About who we are, what we're capable of, and about the degree to which we're able to overcome obstacles in our lives. And if you've grown up in an environment that wasn't supportive or caring or compassionate towards you, where you didn't have parents or guardians either present in your life or able to guide you to become the best version of yourself that you could be, the topics that I'm going to be talking about, as well as, in my upcoming episodes, as well as in the previous episodes, they're going to help you create some parameters to function within so that you can evolve outside of your growing up circumstances. And if you had a supportive parent or parents, right, then perhaps this content is going to highlight some of the things that you were taught, as well as, shine a light on new ideas and topics that will actually enhance who you've already become. So regardless of your situation, we all have stories. You have stories. You have a lot of stories that impact how well you show up for yourself or not. And the goal with life is to learn from it, to grow and evolve into your best self, the highest version of you, and then contribute to the greater good from that enlightened place. Does this make sense? I know I've talked about this over and over and over again, but I'm being guided to repeat it. So let's get into today's content. It's time to talk about owning your story. No excuses, no hiding, just raw, unfiltered truth. And let me ask you something. Are you stuck in a cycle of I would, but? You know what I'm talking about. The excuses we've all made to avoid stepping into the life we truly want. We've all done it. But here's the thing. Today's the day you stop. It's time to own your story and take control back over your life. But what exactly do I mean by owning your story? That's a pretty general statement. Simply put, you got to consciously understand how you speak to yourself and what you believe about yourself on a regular basis. I mentioned before about being parented, and we all know that our parents pass down their conditioning and child rearing patterns to us. And if, they were aware parents, ones that wanted to become the anti-models of their parents because who their parents were wasn't healthy, then how your parents parented you will be significantly different than how they were raised. But parents who want to become the anti-models of their parents, they don't always get it right 100% of the time because no parent is perfect. And each of us has been conditioned, as I mentioned before, and some of that conditioning is hardwired, and it's quite difficult to redirect. You, in fact, are, you're that way, and you perhaps subconsciously, likely, absorbed that conditioning from your parents. I know I did. And are you aware, though, of what you have unconsciously taken on from them? Likely you're not. Maybe you've taken on their money stories and you think those belong to you. Their relationship stories, their abandonment, poverty, and abuse stories, their work ethic stories. But if you really think about it, where your beliefs about these particular things originated, can you trace them back to your parents or your caregiver? It's likely that you can, because they didn't just come from nowhere. I could go on and on and on about the kind of stories that people have, but I think you get the picture. Now, the other side of the story coin has to do with you and what stories you allowed yourself to create based on your own independent experiences. So today we're going to have you do some work to highlight those stories, both the good and the bad. So I want you to get some paper out and grab your favorite pen, your writing utensil, and I want you to be guided to take the notes that you're guided to take. And I'm going to be asking you some pointed questions that would be really good homework for you to work on after you finish listening today. So today's episode is more focused on women in midlife. Now, again, I say anybody who's listening to the content will benefit from the questions I pose, no matter what age you are, no matter what gender you are. So don't write this episode off or future episodes because I mention women in midlife. Everything is going to always be relevant if you're a human being, which you are. So I want you to always reflect on what I shared with you here on the podcast. Now, I know life throws curveballs in midlife, family obligations, careers, expectations placed on us by society. And when it comes down to uncovering and pursuing your passions at this time in life, if you're honest with yourself, are these really the reasons why you're not pursuing them? The curveballs, the obligations, the expectations? Or are they just excuses you're using to avoid stepping into the unknown, into your full power? Now, if you've listened to me long enough, you know that I am all about helping listeners, my clients and my students, feel more powerful in their life and in more command of themselves, their thinking, their believing, and their action taking. But how much excuse making do you actually do in your life to keep playing small, to avoid stepping into the next level of you? Look, life doesn't come with a guarantee that everything will be smooth sailing. But if you don't start owning your narrative, meaning the story that you tell yourself about who you are and all that comes with that synopsis, somebody else is going to write your story for you. And this is key when it comes to realizing just how easily you might be giving your personal power away. And believe me, you won't like the version others create of you as much as the one that you'd create for yourself. So today, we're going to work on cutting through those excuses, getting to the heart of what's been holding you back, because you, yes, you, deserve to take control of your life story, starting right now. I want you to really think about this question. I want to ask you the first big question of the day. What excuses have you been holding on to that prevent you from stepping into your truth? Think about it. Is it fear? Is it guilt? Is it a belief that you're too late? That you've missed your window? I want you to write down the excuses that immediately pop up into your head. No editing, just letting them flow. And if you're doing this while you're listening, stop the recording. Take as much time as you need to complete your list with honesty and get this self-transparency. Because we all hold onto excuses about why we can't or shouldn't or ought not to do something because of some limiting belief and fear of the unknown. So take some time to write down all of yours. And after this quick break, I'll dig into the other two questions and then give you some real effective strategies to move forward. If you're a woman in midlife who feels like midlife is a test of your endurance rather than a celebration of wholeness with amazing opportunities ahead, then I couldn't be more thrilled to invite you to my free live 60-minute training called Midlife Mentality Makeover, where women just like you and me learn how to unlock the secrets to revitalizing your life. This is your chance to really learn how to make significant shifts to how you experience midlife. It's not about getting old, it's about becoming whole. So, in this free live 60-minute training, you'll learn how to shift your mindset, overcome those limiting beliefs, and reignite your passion, and so much more. And during this training, we'll explore practical strategies to help you embrace this beautiful phase of life with confidence, enthusiasm, and joy. So, if you're ready to step into your power and truly transform your midlife experience from something to endure into an amazing and exciting second half of life, head over to janisrcohen.com/MMM and reserve your seat for the Midlife Mentality Makeover live free training. Seats are filling up quickly, so don't wait. I wouldn't. To register for this eye-opening experience that's going to kickstart your newly redefined midlife experience into high gear. That's janisrcohen.com/MMM. janisrcohen.com/MMM. All right, back to the show. You're listening to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. Before the break, I was talking about the excuses, and I gave you a prompt, a question to answer. Now I want to share 2 more questions and offer some strategies to tie this all together so that you can take action. So, once you've got those excuses, right, those excuses that I mentioned before written down, let's take it a step further. What would you change if you gave yourself full permission to take control of your life today? When I talk about taking control of your life, what I mean by that is when you make a solid decision, a decision with certainty that you're going to be the captain of your ship, the one who becomes so freaking conscious of how you operate in the world and with yourself, how you think, what you believe, and what you accept as generalized truths, and what you ultimately do with all of that, and the impact that it has on your quality of life. I want you to visualize what would change if you gave yourself full permission to take control of your life today and become hyper-conscious of yourself and all the things that I just mentioned. And take this visualizing to the quantum level, where you see all of the possibilities of who you are, all of the versions of you that exist when you make enlightened decisions and take next level actions on your own behalf. Imagine a life where those excuses no longer stand in your way. They're gone because you shooed them away like pesky flies just with a wave of your hand. What do you see yourself doing differently? How differently are you feeling? What new feelings have you adopted because of this decision? What has internally shifted for you? What new beliefs, what new understandings of what's possible for you are beginning to show up for you now as you envision your highest timeline? Now that you've imagined this life, here's the final question for today. How much longer are you willing to wait to start living fully? Yeah, I know that one's a bit of a gut punch, but we can't dance around this. I don't. And I don't dance around things with my clients. So how much longer are you going to let fear, guilt, or whatever is holding you back actually hold you back? There's no perfect moment to begin, ever. There's no right perfect moment. There's only now. And you're either doing it or you're not. All it takes is a moment and a decision to change some way of being, and your life exponentially shifts in either a positive or a negative way. Consciously deciding how you're going to live your life and who you are going to be for yourself, it's the most important decision you could possibly make for yourself. You want a better life? Well, it's time for a better story, with better questions, with more possibilities, and with a happier outcome. And now that we've dug into those tough questions, let's talk strategy. You know me, I'm all about action and teaching you what steps to take for you to create a better life for yourself all the way around. It's one thing to have these big realizations, right? But what are we going to do about them? So here are 3 strategies to get you moving forward right now. The first is create a no more excuses list. I want you to write down every single excuse that comes to mind. Remember I said, be honest with yourself, be transparent. The ones you've been using to keep yourself stuck. Once you've got that list, I want you to actually tear it up. I said it, tear it up. Because it is ceremoniously letting your whole energy body know, and your brain, that you're not holding on to those excuses any longer. You're done with them. And then I want you to replace them with action steps that you can take on a new sheet of paper. Okay? For example, if you find that you tend to become discouraged and you don't know how to change that, examine the limiting beliefs that are coming up for you. Write them all down. Study them. Speak to them and let them speak back to you about why they're here and what their purpose is in your life. Then make sure that you become aware of your body cues that you typically get when you're feeling anything other than happy, content, love, and light. Let your body speak to you and have it tell you what thoughts you're thinking and what those thoughts cause you to believe about yourself. Then ask the universe for a different perspective and the, excuse that you must rid yourself of to move forward. Okay? So last step, I want you to take immediate action on that guidance. You want a better life? It's time to move differently. And the time to move is now. Second strategy, practice radical responsibility. Now, most people have heard of this term, radical responsibility, and maybe it doesn't mean a hill of beans to you. Because you're like, blah, 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 woo-woo talk. But what does it mean really? For me, it means that you call in your courage to help you see where the cracks in your foundation are. The cracks in your thoughts, beliefs, and choices. And only then can you take responsibility for all of that. And to take radical responsibility means that you only say this: yes, I did that. I am the one responsible for it. It's all about ownership. From now on, you're going to take radical responsibility for every part of you and every single thing that you decide to do and think and believe. And that even means the limiting beliefs that you hold on to, the ones that hold you back, that you pretend you don't know about. Sometimes the deepest ones can be the easiest to find if you take the time to sift through them. You're responsible for those, my friend, the limiting beliefs, and you can shift them. So that means you stop blaming others, your partner, boss, kids, animals, your past, your parents, anyone or anything else that you tend to defer blame to. You're in the driver's seat now. Every choice you make is yours to own. The third strategy, which this is the final strategy today, is to build a support system. You're not living this thing called life alone. Find people who believe in your growth, who will hold you accountable and lift you up when you start slipping back into old habits. Tell them what you're working on and ask for their support, and make sure you support them too, because it's always a two-way street. Now, this can be tough, a tough one, if you feel like you're all alone in your life. But I can tell you that there's someone somewhere in your general vicinity. Maybe it's the gas station attendant. Maybe it's the person at the store that you frequent. Maybe it's your neighbor who will give you their time and attention if you'd only strike up a conversation, or if you ask the universe for the connection to supportive people. The next step would be to remain open to meeting them, suspending false beliefs that no one is there to support you. Again, that's a limiting belief that you got to work on if that's something you hold. And the belief that you'll never get the support, compassion, feedback, and connection that you really want. You've got to give the universe the green light to work on your behalf once you have declared and put in your heartfelt order. Okay? Try it. Open up to calling in kind, supportive, loving people into your life. There really is so much kindness in the world, so many kind people who are ready to help, even though bad people and bad things exist all around us. So you've got this. You've got everything you need inside of you to start owning your story. Excuses, they're really just distractions, right? I know firsthand that they are because I had plenty of them over time. And I wanted to share this book with you. Years ago, I shared it because it has been truly one of the most favorite books of mine. It's actually a series of books by this one author, Stephen Pressfield. And if you struggle to take action in any way with what you know you need to do and what's on your heart to bring to life, you've got to go to Amazon or drive to your nearest Barnes & Noble bookstore and get the trilogy which starts with The War of Art. Trust me, it's going to apply to you, and you will be blown away by the wisdom in it. It's a multi-million copy selling book. And when you read this book, I know when I read the book, my life exponentially shifted, and no longer could I avoid seeing how the resistance was showing up in my life. All the excuses, I couldn't ignore them anymore, because once you know something, you can't unknow it. Like once you see something, you can't unsee it. So it pushed me to get my podcast started, to finish my book, my first book, to get on Instagram, and to get out of my own way. Look, you're done letting the excuses in midlife take center stage. You're not the same person you were even yesterday or even before you listened to this podcast. So stop trying to keep that version currently in your life. Let that version go. Because when you decide to let go of the excuses, it's like the seas part, and suddenly you have room to breathe. Suddenly you have pride again in yourself and a whole new slew of amazing opportunities and challenges to experience. It's freaking amazing. So take the challenge. Ask yourself those questions. Go back and listen to them. Commit to those 3 strategies and step fully into your truth, especially in midlife. And listen, if today's episode hit home for you, share it with another woman who needs to hear this, and send me a message on IG telling me how it helped you. You can find me on Instagram at The Intuitive Therapist. Look, we're all in this together, and I believe in your power to reignite your passion, purpose, and personal power. It's what I love to teach women about and what I'm put on this earth to do. As always, I wish you a wonderful week, a blessed day, and remember to always live intuitively. Ladies, if you've been feeling like something's off in your life, like that spark of passion, purpose, and personal power is just out of your reach, you're definitely not alone. Midlife can be overwhelming, filled with changes, challenges, and that pesky identity crisis that leaves you wondering, what's next for me? And who am I now? But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. I've created something special just for you. The 5 sneaky things that are sabotaging you in midlife guide. And yes, it's free. Inside, you'll uncover the 5 real obstacles holding you back and how to identify them in your own life. Plus, you'll get straightforward solutions to start your transformation today. So, what are you waiting for? If you're ready to take back the reins of your life and embrace this powerful phase, head over to janisrcohen.com. That's JANISRCOHEN.com and download your free guide right now. Your future self will be so grateful.